afternoon, good evening, good morning, folks. It's your man, Always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, can you believe it? It's been 2 weeks since I went to Tampa. 2 weeks. Oh God, time flies. It used to be a day where it seemed like birthdays took forever, and Christmas seemed like it was long, but now just I got one birthday coming around the corner, and Christmas just around there right behind it. So, folks, as you know, a while back, as you said again, I went to Tampa, and I met this lovely young lady there. She was competing at the EPC regional, which was the Tim Gardner Extravaganza, and she was doing a division that I can't say it. It's on my mouth, and my tongue. I feel dirty when I say it. It's the fit model division. Excuse me. I'm sorry. No offense to her. No offense to her. It's just I'm not a fan. So we have here the lovely Mrs. Amy Quezada, if I got a name right. I want to let her know.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, you're welcome, man. I appreciate it. We were talking because this is the fourth lady I got to might talk a bit before I get the interview with, and it's great to meet these ladies and gentlemen out there in sport. I mean, and to just get the feel of who they are as people. So, as you know, she is in fit model. I'm trying to keep don't let him come out. Keep him under wraps. He's all right, and also she works in forensic security. Interesting. So especially as the other half, he's kind of a criminal. But so we're going to talk to her and share her story and get her interest in what her plans are now. So welcome, Amy, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. It's most appreciated. So, madam, so share a story. What got you started in this sport? Let's call it muscle and masculinity. Please share.
Oh my gosh. So my therapist. So I actually was a forever athlete. So I did cross country, track all throughout high school, even in middle school, and then into college. And then once I graduated college, kind of went through like an evolution of fitness, I would say. I went into a cycling phase and did that for a while. I went into a yoga phase, and then I started lifting. Didn't really have any clear goals. And I would say 2022 was the year that kind of just slapped me across the face. I ended up getting diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And then I also started going through a divorce at the same time. So between my therapist and my doctor, they said the best way to get through rheumatoid arthritis is functional exercise and just eating healthier and understanding what your reactions are, because a lot of it is food-based. So I learned a lot about food. I learned a lot about my body, but typical Amy fashion, I couldn't just do regular lifestyle, gym going and just staying fit. I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I need purpose. I need something that's going to drive me every day to continue on, so that way I have a goal. And so I tried competing in OCB for the first time. And I got my bikini off Amazon, and I was in the bikini division, and I didn't know anything about anything. It was probably the worst experience of my life because I made every single mistake you could think of. So like small things. I went to go get my spray tan, and I got home that evening, and all the girls in line were like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe you didn't shave your arms." I'm like, was I supposed to shave my arms? I don't understand. And then when I got home, I realized I didn't even shave my legs. So I showed up on stage with unshaven legs my first show. Makeup was a mess. The tan was a mess. I went through it. It was fine. And then I hired a new coach and then got a little bit more better of an experience the next couple shows. But when I started out, I didn't really know much about what I needed to train, body-wise, and different movements and stuff like that. So, and I didn't know anything about tracking macros. In fact, when I talked to my coach and they were like, "How much do you eat?" I was like, "I have no idea. Does a normal human know how much they eat throughout the day?" And they're like, "Yeah, do you eat 3 meals?" No, I snack throughout the day. That's healthy, right? They're like, "No, you're probably going to eat 3 meals and 2 snacks." And I just didn't know what to expect. So I was like, okay. They said, go ahead and start tracking your food. And now it's a joke because my food then, when I thought I was eating enough was about 1,100 calories a day. And I thought I was full. And then once I actually learned more about nutrition, I didn't realize that I wasn't a crabby person all the time. I just wasn't eating enough. So I learned a lot about myself and different movements and just a whole bunch of other things about me that I just didn't know was waiting to be discovered, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Well, bodybuilding is a process. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes. And that's the thing about learning. You learn from mistakes. From those mistakes, it makes you a better athlete along the way. You say OCB, which is a well-known, a natural organization. I know a couple of these. I do some who are pros and some who are amateurs, and it's a level where you have to be completely like compared to some other organizations. Most definitely the NBCIFB. You cannot use any kind of performance enhancers. Nothing. You get tested. You get piss tested. I know one lady told me when she was there, she had to wait and had to stand beside, but she was really dehydrated. What was she going to piss out? But sometimes you take blood work, depending. And what you went through with your through 2022, that was a bad year for everybody. It was the post end of the pandemic. In 2020, I lost my mother because she had gotten the virus, and that kind of broke my heart. And I spent the last 5-6 years taking care of her, and that gave me a purpose. And doing this content about you ladies, it's just really I would say honestly for bodybuilding in general, it really helped me through times where I was taking care of her with the stress and everything like that. But yeah, everybody finds something that can help them out in life, especially if it's bodybuilding or just doing content like I'm doing.
Yeah, and it just helped me just kind of find focus. So I always had a lot of anxiety, and I think it's because I'm always turned on for work and everything else around me. I throw 100% of myself into every situation, which is sometimes great and other times it's not. And so this kind of gave me that balance and just being able to control my food or control my workout and that routine and just kind of putting a little bit more structure around it just made a world of a difference for me personally. And also for my son. So he was really young when I started. He's 6 now, and he actually was able to go to the gym that I trained out of Tampa for a long time. The gym owner was great. He let him come as long as, he behaved himself, but he got to see me kind of evolve with the sport, right? From trying to figure out what the hell an RDL was to, being able to do a pull up on my own. I mean, all of the struggles in between, he was able to see that. So he's a little bummed now that he can't go to the gym with me, but we're adjusting.
Well, tell little man it'd be all right because someday he'll get to a point where he gets going gym when he's a little older, and maybe you might even inspire him to get into the sport and bodybuilding. So now, when you started, you was in OCB, you was doing bikini. What made you switch from that organization to the NPC?
It was actually really early on. So I received feedback from one of my shows, and I placed really well in that. I've always placed well with OCB, but just not, it wasn't the right look that they were going for. OCB, because maybe that's the natural organization, they were looking for someone who was a little bit more curvy. And that's just not me. Like genetic wise, I'm very lean. I've always been really lean. And it's really hard for me to put on muscle. So they told me that I was probably a better fit for NPC and that I should try it out. And I just went right from OCB, and a month later, I was in an NPC show. And I'm going to be honest, the experience was 100% different. As a natural athlete switching over, it was like night and day. The way that the show was run, there's a lot. I felt like it was really professional. There's a lot more athletes there. The shows are a lot larger. And then you are able to see these pros and, their routines to kind of see what you want to grow to, and you get a lot more exposure. I just had a better experience, I feel like, overall. And I didn't have a negative experience with OCB. I just think that it was the right fit for me. And that was one of the primary motivators, is I was just too lean, too conditioned, to everything for OCB for the look that they were looking for at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like any athlete, it's about the process as they grow and develop over time. Natural bodybuilding, I think, is a lot harder compared to the more, as I would say, the more enhanced competitive, because it takes you a lot more time to build the muscle and the conditioning. Where when you use like a performance enhancers, PEDs, it helps you, go a little longer. That's the thing about bodybuilding. I've often heard this out. People saying like, "Oh, you take steroids and yada yada, and you get bigger and yada yada." But it doesn't work like that. If you don't be consistent, you don't be disciplined, you don't be persistent and focused. Stick to the diet that your coach or nutritionist gave you. Work all, every out every day when you have a plan, and make sure it's like you stick to that plan. You can't be deterred. Like some people,
Right.
like myself, I'm kind of, if you get to know me, I'm kind of like I'm a procrastinator by nature. I do things when I feel like it's almost last minute to do it. And but when I do it, I'm doing it fully invested into it. But sometimes, the difference between discipline and motivation. Sometimes if it doesn't feel like I'm feeling it, I'm just. We have here my man Ryan Lake coming through. He just dropped. He says, "Hello, hello there, Ryan. Thank you for coming through, brother. So I appreciate that." So, like I said, you really enjoy your experience in OCB, and you were doing bikini, and how many shows was that between before you made the switch to the other name?
Oh my gosh. So I call myself a baby bodybuilder. I'm still really new in here. So this is only my fourth. Tampa was my fourth show, I believe. So I did 3 shows before I switched over to MPC. And then Tampa was my second MPC show. And I switched over, honestly, I went through bulk for about 18 months. And this was with a new coach. So we had never done prep before together. So we were kind of like testing it out, seeing what I need to do conditioning wise. I have never been successful in gaining weight. And I gained 28 pounds over bulk, which is what we wanted. But I was shocked. I was like, I've never seen myself look like this. So then when we went to strip all that down, it took a lot longer than what we anticipated. And I still struggle in my hamstring development. So I don't have visible tie-ins. They're there in the right angles, but they are not there in back pose. So he had recommended that we try Fit Model just to kind of see where the placement was. And then that would give me the opportunity to, have muscle maturity and grow into the sport. Because when we made the switch, I already purchased a brand new, beautiful bikini from Bikini Labs. And I was so upset. I was like looking forward to wearing it. And I was like, I hate the Fit Model pose. It's so ugly. I was like, I love bikini. It's so like beautiful and graceful. I just didn't like Fit Model pose. I just feel like your leg is just thrown out to the side. And I know that was like the original bikini pose, but it's not my preference. I like the bikini pose that is now. So the goal is to still grow into bikini, but this also gives me an opportunity to kind of like get a little bit more stage time, get an understanding of like judging criteria, understanding that whole feedback loop, and then figuring out a new game plan to grow. So it's kind of like why we're here and what we're doing.
Well, the thing is, it's like I said, bodybuilding is a process, and I know the idea of Fit Model is based on when I think the last really more popular bikini competitor, Ashley, I forgot her last name because I don't really pay attention too much to bikini. I am a fan of women's bodybuilding a little more. I want to make my crying Amy while I'm here. I am a muscle person, some of you ladies kind of excite me. And I think I interviewed a lady. You're not my first Fit Model competitor. I interviewed a lady. Her name was Heather, and she actually earned her overall title at a show. She did the Universe and Fit Model about a month ago. Didn't do too well, and she switched back to she switched back to bikini. Didn't do too well in bikini at the next show, But then I think she still had to work on it because I think she still needs time to grow and develop. And that's the thing about this: how the idea of Fit Model is not to be no crossovers, but then eventually, after a while, as your body grows and change, develop, maybe then when your coach says, you know what, it's finally time we go back to bikini and see how we do. So who's your coach and how long y'all been working with?
I'm actually with Coach Paul with Pro Physiques, and we've been working together for a little over a year. So I think we hit a year in June. But this is our very first prep together. So he's still learning my body. I'm actually relearning my body during prep because it's a different prep process for me. And also we're figuring out what foods I react to and what I don't. So it's been a lot of cardio, but we're almost there.
Yes, but that's all bunch of fit models, just cardio bunnies. You don't put in the real muscle like real women. But hey, I'm just me, I'm just. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, we work just as hard. So I think there is also this common misconception too about the different divisions. Like, fit model is more for lifestyle, and I was like, I see lifestyle folks in and out of the gym all the time, and I'm not judging them, but there's a very different process in bodybuilding, no matter what division you're in, and versus lifestyle. So when I first started, you can ask my husband this. I was like, how the hell am I going to work out for more than 30 minutes? I'm going to die. And he's like, you'll be fine. I was like, I can't do it. And he's like, no, you can do it. And I was like, once I hit 40 minutes, I'm dead. Now I'm in the gym 2-3 hours. No lifestyle folks are doing 2-3 hours in the gym. It's just, it's a mental sport and we're all insane.
yeah. Well, like I said again, it is about a different mindset compared to everybody else. Most everyday people wouldn't spend 30 minutes. Most everyday people would spend an hour in the gym if they can't avoid it. But for you as a competitor, as you're growing and developing, this is part of your process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hated the phrase in the beginning, like, trust the process. I'm like, if someone tells me that one more time, it's almost like telling your partner when they're upset, like, just try to calm down, like, don't stress, take a breath. It's like the same process if you're like frustrated in bodybuilding and nothing is going your way, and like, just trust the process. You're like, it's the last thing I want to hear.
I don't say this. I don't say trust the process, understand the process, and then trust it. Because sometimes some things you don't really know fully. You don't understand that's involved with it. It's just, I think for some people it's just easy word to say, hey, trust the process. That's how it works. No, there's some things that I think I would like to know first, and
Yeah.
then when I feel like I can trust it, I'll trust it. But I think it's just the different mindsets of how people believe what is the process, what's part of it, and the ways as you gain and grow as an athlete.
Right. Yeah. And there's is a process in learning a lot of different things about this entire environment, and not just in the gym, but at home, also in the kitchen, Um, I always see these Instagram reels, which crack me up. It's like me weighing food, where it's like too much on the scale, you take it off and you just like instinctively just eat whatever it is. And that was what I was doing in the beginning. I was like, shoot, that didn't weigh that. That doesn't count. Like, understanding what you're putting in and what you're getting out type of thing too. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, so it's involved. So, folks, while we have Amy here, we're gonna do this. We're gonna jump into her social media for a bit. You want to check her out. Her links are in the description of this live stream. And folks, if you're interested, these ladies in the sport can use support. But guys, and I know most of you guys, you're more a fan of the big, buff, beautiful women, but still, she's a beautiful lady right here, guys. Have some common sense, have some decorum. She has a kid, she has a husband. No weird shit. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear her man in the street fighting another man because he said some weird shit to his wife. Be nice, be kind, be decent. You all right? So, folks, we're
thank
gonna jump
you.
into it. You don't need to thank me, ma'am, because as again, man, I'm a Southern gentleman. It's my pleasure to tell a lady that you respect the lady. But since the guys out there, they don't care. If you don't even have, if you just have just a little bit of muscle, they want to say, "Hey, I love ride this kid." Come on, guys, come on, come on, come on. You got some better.
No.
Who raised you? Who raised you? So we're gonna jump into her social media here. You want to check her out, you can follow her on the link in the description. Now here, as she won, this is here at the show at the Tim Gardner Extravaganza, and you won in your class, right?
Yeah, so this was 35 and 35 plus.
All right, and then you took second in the overall, I think you said, or
So I took oh my gosh. So I took third in open, third in novice, and then second in true novice. So that was one of the beauties too about this new division is I did not know that even if you've competed before in NPC, because it's brand new, you can actually register for true novice too, which was great. I got a lot of stage time. And when I say I got a lot of stage time, that show was so fast. I didn't know what class was what when I was on stage. And we were just hustling through. getting everyone on. And I just felt like I stood on that stage for, 30 plus minutes by myself while all the other classes filtered on and off. So they just kept me there. So blessing in disguise, but I'm actually a friend of mine. Her name is Sarah, and she also competes. She's a wellness athlete. And she told me during posing practice to learn how to hold my poses for, 8 minutes like a statue. And I was like, that just seems excessive. But looking back, I was like, man, I wish I did that because it would have helped me out. So
Yeah, that's good that you're afraid of your advice. And who's this handsome gentleman beside you?
that's my husband, Caesar.
Ah, Caesar, Caesar. He saw you say, seize her for me. So, and how long y'all two been together now?
Oh my gosh. So we actually just got married in April. So we are technically still newlyweds, but we've been together for, he's going to kill me because I can't remember, but maybe 2 years. But we've known each other for a really long time, like over 10 years. So we worked together prior to dating. And actually, when I first started competing in OCB, we got reconnected on Instagram and through that whole journey of mine. So it was a really good experience, positive. He goes to the gym, he tracks macros, he understands lifestyle and all that stuff and he knew what he was getting into, which made it a lot easier being with someone who's in the same lifestyle, has the same mindset as you. So I never have to explain to him like why my dinner at night is 50 grams of rice, a scoop of peanut butter, and like 4 ounces of, chicken and maybe 25 grams of pineapple. That's what the macros fit. He gets it. So we just kind of like roll with it at this point.
Well, I did check that he also competes a bit himself too. So what division he does and how long he's been doing it?
He is not competing yet. I say yet because we're having conversations about it. So I don't know what division he's going to compete in. We just had to get him on stage. The goal was to get him on this summer, but I think his coach has other plans for him.
That's good. I know quite a few couples who one is competitive, one maybe just on the sidelines, maybe just help them out. Or I interviewed a couple who's right now they're planning to make their pro debuts together, and it's good to find somebody. Yeah, it's good to find somebody to share that passion as much as you do, and also as folks, as I said again, she also has another job where she works in forensic security. So we'll pull this up here while we're here. And what's that about? I mean, when did this start? It's called the ARC Point Forensics. And I mean, wow, it's just, here she is right here. As you know, pull up here, just here. And one of my things is, as my master Raza Guldim has taught me, be aware of surroundings at all time, young Master Wayne. Never get your footing for a killing blow. So when did this start and how long you been part of it?
Oh my gosh. So I actually was one of the founders of the company and we started it in 2020, January 16th, 2020, to be honest with you. And as soon as we started, COVID shut down the world. So it wasn't great timing, but we were a startup for a little bit longer than what we wanted to be. And we sell this product called Atrio is what you see. And I came from a digital forensic background. So I was an analyst for a really long time, servicing both government and law enforcement. So I just wanted to be able to get back to the community at like a bigger scale. So how can I help with services and products and what do people actually need? And what, where's the gap? And the gap for us was being able to triage data out in the middle of nowhere, which is really important. So we're pretty active in the internet crimes against children community. And essentially what this allows is our tool set we can show up and do a search warrant. They can plug the devices in and get all the data they want and then, find child sexual abuse material right there on scene and then be able to make an arrest rather than letting a predator go back into their home and do whatever they're doing for the next, 2-3 months, depending on case processing or, take risk at harming a child again. So.
Yeah, so it's pretty much it's kind of like CSI level security, where you go in, you find the data and also if something comes up, you work with the police, you work with the people to maybe seek out people like predators, stuff like that. That's really good. I mean, it's really appreciated. Here we have is she's giving a little talk here. We share it with us so you can listen.
Hey, so I travel a lot for work and I'm in the middle of prep. So I'm trying to control as much that's going into my body as possible. And that includes eating out. There's a lot of hidden calories and oils and fats and all the other stuff that we just don't know what's going in our food and what's in those kitchens when we're ordering. So what I try to do is control that environment, right? So, I have a travel gym, which is just a big box gym that I can go anywhere. So I don't have any excuses as to having a crappy workout or not having the right equipment. And then what I do for my food is this time I'm only traveling up and down for like a 1-day trip. So I really only need to pack breakfast for tomorrow. So this is my pre-gym meal. I have my carb supplement that I drink throughout my workout. I also did some hard-boiled eggs because these are easy to grab in between because I'm in a conference and going in between meetings and stuff like that with individuals. This is really easy to crack, peel, eat, and then keep going. I also pre-measured out all my food. So I have my meat, my vegetables, my carbs. I only need 3 meals because we'll be back tomorrow. But I do have a little bit of extra snacks that I pack just in case, God forbid, my flight gets delayed or I get laid over. Then I have additional flexibility there. I also, when I land, get things that I can't pack. So you can't pack liquids. You can pack meat, vegetables, all the stuff. I pre-measure it, put it in these containers, put it in the freezer, and then I just put it in these Ziploc bags, which just kind of like protect extra on the inside of my bag, just in case, you never know. And also as it thaws, if it has a smell on the plane, I'm like self-aware that I cook with a lot of garlic and onion. And so as it thaws, I don't want to, have other people smelling that on the plane. So the bags kind of help with that too. But essentially, when I land, I usually get almond milk, like just a small bottle of almond milk for my cereal the next day. And then I also get liquid egg whites that are, the small containers. So that way I can just drink them right out of the carton. I posted that before. Some people think it's gross, but it's straight protein. No other additives in it. And for me, when I'm avoiding gluten and dairy and all these other things because of my rheumatoid arthritis, I just need to plan ahead. So this is the best way to do that. And this actually helps me kind of reduce my anxiety during prep because a lot of times when we're cutting, we're always focused on the next meal. At least I am. And then hey, so
yeah, that's pretty good.
I travel a lot for work.
You have a plan. My other guy says I don't have a plan. I'm just dog checking cars.
No, I have a plan. I have a plan all the time. And I think it's really important because, like I said, it keeps me on track, but it's one of the things I don't even have to think about. So, So this picture, we actually went to Tulum, which was so nice. And it was right before I started prep. So I was feeling a little self-conscious.
I can't strike this picture here. I better calm myself down. I might give myself a heart attack. So, you have, ma'am, if I say this to you, and I'm going to say it in my awesome Power voice, if I tell you you have a beautiful body, will you hold it against me? But yeah, it's a lot of work to train, to diet, the process of it. I mean, most people, it's beginning to understand the factors involved as a bodybuilder as you grow and as you develop.
Yeah, and your mindset evolves with it, right? So, and you get to filter out a lot of extra noise. So, this prep, I've evolved even more with social media. I actually downloaded an app to block social media because I was just so consumed with, what's this person placing and what do they look like and what does this person say? So definitely the mindset of evolving of like, none of this matters. I'm competing against myself. I'm not competing against anyone else. I'm just going to show up. As my husband would say, that's a very mature comment. So I think there's a lot of maturity going on.
Well, you guys have a good man there. That's most definitely, I think that's the thing about bodybuilding. It's not you against other people on stage, it's you versus you. It's that person in the mirror you got to look at, you got to fight against. And sometimes that's the thing is about the human mind that sometimes we let fear and doubt hold us back. Like with me, like shout out to my friend. Like I said again, I always want to do this because you tell me to wear my hats in interview, but I'm not always wearing hat 24. I got this bad rap. Shout out to my friend Eunice, and I went there to support her because I live out here. I live my own. I live just me. And my nephew might stay with me over the weekend sometimes. And I lived with a big family. It's like counting my brothers and sisters, at least 6, 7 of us. And now, like everybody else is grown, the kids are grown, their kids are grown, and it's just me. And I was just sitting around the house, and we were talking. I was talking with her a few months before. She was playing because she was working with Tim Gardner and playing in her booth, and she was telling me how she was like, she needs some help. Yeah. I said, you know what, I got nothing to do. And I was planning to get myself another car because my car that I got when my sister gave me was shit. Excuse my language. And then I said, you know what, I got a few bucks. I just throw in, get a train, and go down and help my friend. And that's what I did. I got to meet you and quite a few other ladies. And the thing is, we have to learn to get out of our own ways and sometimes get out of our own comfort zone, especially as bodybuilder.
Oh yeah. For a while, I refused to tell people that I was bodybuilding because I felt like I was almost like having imposter syndrome about it. I was like, I'm bodybuilding, but I'm not a bodybuilder. And they're like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, but I'm competing in bodybuilding, but you're not a bodybuilder. And so it's kind of a mindset game of like, all right, if I just like take this on and like accept it, I'm going to grow with it. So it's kind of me getting out of my own way in that regard. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm a bodybuilder. And some people make comments like, oh, you don't look like it. I was like, well, this is what division I'm in. So, all the divisions are very different and the looks are very different. So a lot of it's educating the public.
Yeah, I think it's that's more. I think it's the most important part about education is that people need to understand and learn. Like when I was coming up, bodybuilding used to be on network television. You catch it on NBC, ABC. You used to catch it on cable. But the last few years, only time like you can catch on pay-per-view or on the internet, YouTube, because sometimes they post. I know some guys who follow, they post videos and stuff from shows. Generally, most people are more comfortable with sport. They understand. Like it's funny how I was like when when I was in Tampa. I was in my room and just, I think it was, the show. I was going to go to the master show that later that evening. It started around 5. I was going to leave around 4 and get into my apartment till like about 2. So I'm just laying there chilling out, take a shower later and just watching TV. And then you're showing, I was flipping through the channels because sometimes, different places, TV is different wherever place you go to. And then I hit on ESPN Ocho and it's showing pillow fighting. What the? I've heard about it and I've seen clips of it. It's guys and women actually fighting with pillows. Now
like
you telling me, yes, you can type it up. You can see I think they even got a website somewhere. They might even have a IG account where the people are fighting with pillows. Now I've interviewed ladies in combat sports from MMA, boxing, wrestling, bare knuckle, but this is. It's not. It's like cornhole. How now you can see it on ESPN. It's crazy how some people.
I wonder what the criteria is. How do you win?
I don't know. Whoever you
knock
out.
Questions.
I mean that's something. I think that's
you knock them out with a pillow.
I mean, there's that slap thing now. I see guys getting knocked the hell out of that.
Oh my gosh! But like for the pillow fighting, like. Is it a certain amount of grams in the pillow? Like how much does it weigh? Is there limitations on how you swing it to hit the person?
That's something.
It also seems like it could be really relieving. Like
yeah,
I might be able to get into that too.
I would say one day you and Caesar sit there. We have nothing to do. Just go on ESPN Ocho or any kind of just find it. You can probably find it somewhere. Pull up on the internet. I'm just like this. I grew up watching sports like football, basketball, baseball. I watched that as a kid, but then I don't know, people just making up shit just so they can be, that it'd be more of inclusive. My brother, he played football here in our hometown. That's what got me into bodybuilding because you used to get the muscle mags. And I was a kid, grew up in the 80s. Popular cartoon was He-Man, Thundercats. See the muscular dudes, but it's again, y'all ladies particularly kind of arouse my kind of dandruff, But doing this content and talking to women like yourself, like your friend does wellness, and wellness, that's also the division that kind of interests me because and just I've been a fan of women's body for a long time. It's the architect for everything. And just like I said, just today you only have 3 women bodybuilders at the Atlanta Pro. Really disappointing. And sometimes I get frustrated with it, but then I realize, you know what? Stop being frustrated with it. Accept that the fact is, it's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like also there's been some shifts in the criteria for bodybuilding and figure. And so there has been a lot of women who are competing in bodybuilding going down to figure, which I think is interesting as well. I don't know if that's normal or if that's the criteria has changed so much that it's caused people to do that, but
I think it's more like the reverse. I'm like right now at the at the Atlanta show. I got to meet her when I was at Tampa. That's Megan, St. Barbara. Now she was figure, and now she's doing physique. She took second to to Zama Benta. Paula Rancher, who also got to talk to, who was at Tampa. She was a figure competitor. Now she went to physique. I think it's about the evolution of each athlete. And here's one excuse somebody says, I don't want to go to this division because I don't want to get as big and muscular. But then the fact is, you can't stick in a division where you are either placing low, you're struggling, and your body, when you're training, you're working out, and you're dieting like that. Like I've talked to figure competitors, the judges tell me we need you to be more fuller, more bigger, and then after a while, you just start to evolve. Like I know ladies who have switched from figure to physique and figure to wellness, and then I think one thing that happened was when you switch that division, you bring that level of muscle to it. Like with physique, how it changed because a lot of female bodybuilders were going down, and then they brought those same aesthetics from women's bodybuilding, and it changed. Yeah, if you look at like most definitely the current physique champion Sarah Vilgas, her level of muscle is totally different from you look at like a lot of ladies who different was Daly Bailey or Julian McCartney, or she Grant, she switched from physique to wellness. And you look at the Taekwondo, who was figure before, but now she's number 2 in the world. Is anybody in the sport that you are a fan of, that you follow, or you just admire their,
oh my
not
gosh.
just just admire their work as a bodybuilder?
Yeah, I call them my crushes because they are gorgeous human beings. But Laura Lee, Maureen, I got the privilege to meeting Aaron Stern in person, which was a fantastic experience. And I was always like really nervous to meet a pro because they seemed so nice online, and I was like, I'd be really disappointed if they were like mean in person. But when I got to meet Erin, she was so sweet, and she gave me like so many like good advice, tips on different products and stuff for day of show. So I got to meet Laura Lee as well. So she actually came to our gym and did a posing session, and she actually did some posing with me, and she was also so sweet and supportive, which is one of the things I love about this community too, is everyone is rooting for each other, even though we're competing against one another. Because we're not truly competing against one another, right? We're just competing against ourselves. But it was a good experience. So now I just have to meet Maureen, and I'm all set.
Yeah. Well, I got a chance to meet some ladies while I was there. Some ladies I interviewed, some ladies who I follow on social media. One lady I would love to meet, if it would make my whole entire lifetime if I meet her in person, because I'm a fan of hers and I love her. She's my girlfriend, and that is the lovely Miss Andrea Shaw. I actually saw her. Was it my first Bobby show? I went to Savannah back in 2022, and she was guest posing there. And I got a friend of mine. He was like maybe a month away from her doing the Rising Phoenix, and said she was good. Said George, when she's on, she's on. I mean, last year's Rising Phoenix was her best performance, but she popped back at Olympia. And this is a true story. My friend Eunice, she was there the year when the last year they had the Olympia in Orlando, and she got me this issue. I know I need to put this behind a piece of glass or something, but I love it so much. I just can't. I hug it and call my bunny rabbit. And it's a muscle development. Is they no longer are in production as a print. I used to collect these when I was younger. I love the magazines. And also when she was there, she was talking with Andrea, and like my other half like to say, whenever you're good at something, you say it like this: never do it for free. And this is to me my payment when the current 5-time Miss Olympia champion, 4-time Women's World Bodybuilding champion tells me, George, you are the best. Your support means the world to me. See you soon and sending you my love, Andrea Shaw.
Oh my gosh.
I
That
love
should
that.
be behind glass.
I know, but sometimes I speak with it like, yeah, saying, I love you, Andrea. I have dreams that we're in, at our wedding we have Case singing, shouldn't you be happy ever after? I know it sounds like yeah, but I'm not crazy, Andrea. I just love you. But yeah, I mean, there's amazing people like not just her. I mean, family Angela Yo, a lot of women in sport. I got to meet Derek Lungford, and that was great. And also, a guy I used to remember coming back when I was coming up, when I was watching, going to bodybuilding, Kevin LeBron, and he was one of those legends. I mean, he was up there with guys like Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman and Flex Wheeler. Guy who came so close to Miss Olympia a couple of times but never got the title.
Yeah, I laugh now because when I first started, I don't even know if I want to admit this, but I didn't know anybody in the bodybuilding community, and my husband kept saying like, "Yeah, buddy, lightweight baby," like stuff like that to me, and I had no idea what he was talking about. And I was like,
Yeah, baby, Ronnie
really?
Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. Shout out to
I
Ronnie.
was like, these are just such weird things you're just saying. Like, I just like don't understand.
Like, wait, that was Ronnie's thing. Congratulations, he's doing well now. He just survived the incident with sepsis. He was going to go to Atlanta, be there, but right now he's ready to recover. That's the thing important. That's the thing about with bodybuilding. Sometimes there's always the issues. This year we had some ladies that passed away. Just recently saw a lady who passed away. She hadn't competed for almost a little over 10 years. But it's always that stigma about bodybuilding because it's a dangerous sport. But it's again, I've done content and also did any of these women combat sports. There's more deaths in boxing in the ring, even outside of the ring, compared to bodybuilding. But because boxing is such a mainstream sport, it's overlooked. And always people going to point that finger about bodybuilders is steroids use. They use pads and all that. But you know what? Unless you abuse it, it's not the problem. The only problem is that people don't understand it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think that that was a lot of the talk that was at Tampa backstage, is like how these individuals passed away. And I think a lot of people assume that they were abusing or something like that, but people have health issues. And you just don't know until it happens. So I know an individual they were referencing had died of a heart attack, and I think that they assumed as well that it was that, but apparently this individual had heart condition for a very long time, and it just was a coincidence that she also does bodybuilding. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, I can tell you, I have a heart issue. I have when I was was 39, I had my first heart attack. I was at work, and then I went to my sister's house. She told me to go to the hospital. I went to urgent care, told me something in my blood, and then the hospital told me that I had a heart attack. I thought I had a cold because I thought with a heart attack be like, you grab your chest, but I felt like I was having a cold. But in the last 11 years, I have a pacemaker because my fracture was very low, and the pacemakers keep me going. And yeah, I think that's the one thing people can forget, that sometimes that person might have something, a predisposed issue. And then like one thing, sometimes you die more from diuretics because you're not, keep your body hydrated. The human body is like, I think what is it, 80% water. And even
Yep.
as for those competitors who have to compete, you have to push out that water because you have that nice dry look. I say this quite often. People who are on the outside of the sport don't know about the sport. We go to shows, we see these muscular, fit, shredded, ripped bodies, but don't understand the cost of what they did to the dehydration, the tired, the just being hangry, and also the expense of being a competitor. Because as you know, as
Oh my
amateur,
gosh, yes.
yeah, as amateur, even though your posing suits don't cost as much as it was when you were doing bikini, but still, compared to the guys, they got to wear a pair of banana hammocks and board shorts. You ladies, you have to have your hair, your makeup done. You have to have,
Mhm.
your tan. That's one thing most important. Then the cost of going to shows, the food, paying your coaches. It's a expensive hobby. And other than maybe if you're lucky enough to get a pro card, you don't get much out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the bikinis alone, like I said, my first show, I ordered one off Amazon. I had so many compliments on it. No one knew. And it was $150. And I thought that was expensive. And then when I went and purchased one that was custom made for me, I went to the low tier option for budget and it was still $500. And then that's just the suit. And then you have the shoes and hair. So I actually do my own hair and I have somebody, dear friend of mine who does my makeup. So it's a reduced rate. Then because sometimes the tanning packages are anywhere from $300 to $400 if you want them to do hair, makeup, tan. But tanning alone is usually anywhere from like $100 to $150. And they have different packages that you can buy, but it does add up. Different shows have different costs in terms of registration. So I think I'm actually registered for a show on the 23rd, back down in Florida. And I think it was almost twice the amount of my registration fee as the Tampa Pro. But I think it's a smaller show, so they have to kind of make up for that. And they do cap the athletes for registration. So that could be it. I'm not really sure. So, but yeah, it adds up real quick.
Yeah, because like I said, the cost of food right there, the travel to the shows, paying interest fees, and you get again the other stuff, the hair, the makeup, and the shoes, all that. That's one thing about sport. Ladies told me like this. Even though that's the big part about it, they enjoy what they do. They love it. They do it because they love it. If you look, at the prize money, especially when you get to the pro level, the guys make a little more. You saw that Auto raised up the prize money to the Arnold Classic to $750,000. And here's one thing I'm thinking about is, Fit Model is going to be added next year to some shows. Most definitely Arnold will add it. He's going to announce it probably later. There's a possibility he might kick out uh, fitness to make room for this division because he did it with women's bodybuilding, physique, figure, and even men's 212. I think it's a lot of controversies. I know quite a few competitors are not very happy about it. They don't like it, but you know what? It's just how it is sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and maybe because we're all more of like a routine type of personality in bodybuilding, but we do the same thing. We eat the same thing. We don't deviate from the plan. And so when there's any type of change introduced into your lifestyle, their franchise or something, I feel like it does take our community a little bit longer to wrap their head around it and to kind of like keep an open mind. But yeah, I could see how people are upset about that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they have valid points, but you have your valid points why you compete. This is something like a stepping stone for you. You never know that you do it for once, and then you say you do a show with 23rd. What's that show? And where is that in Florida?
Punta Gorda, Florida. So it's the Mel Chancey Classic. So it's I think it's like an hour and a half south of Tampa. So.
And this is a regional show, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And this is possibly so if you win in your class, you get the possibility to do nationals. So because I think the following next weekend is North Americans. Also, there is nationals. There's also the Olympian amateurs, and also there's I don't think you're old enough for it. There is the USA. I think you do a 35 and over class USA Masters. So if you feel like if you get your overall title, would you want to maybe do a national show this year, or maybe wait till next year to do a bit?
So the plan right now is to do a national show this year. So that's what the plan is. I kind of am. I'm not bikini, but I'm not 100% fit model. I'm sitting. My physique right now is sitting literally in between both, which is really frustrating. So we'll see what happens at this show. I don't know. I think that's why my coach just threw it on the calendar and was like, "If you can do it, can we do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm pretty easygoing about scheduling. And so we'll see what happens after this one, after the 23rd, if we're done for the season and go back to building, or if we continue on to a national level show. Fingers crossed that it will be national level. That'll be exciting.
Well, best of luck to you on that. That's the thing is about Fit Model, there's no crossovers because where I think one thing some competitors tell me that crossover kind of hurts though, because you can see ladies crossover from divisions like from figure to physique. I know a lady I interviewed, she turned pro at nationals as a figure competitor, but she was doing wellness. And with women's bodybuilding, so few women want to go up to that division, but some would do because they feel like I don't want to miss the opportunity where it's there for me. So, and it's possibly the time and the growth as a competitor. Like your training, what's like when you get in the gym, what's that training that you say, you know what, this is a great day for me, and this is when I say, bam, I gotta do this shit.
I would say probably my least favorite training day is Mondays, and not because it's Monday, it's because Monday and Tuesday are my hardest training days. Monday is legs, and about my third exercise in, I feel dead already, and I have about 15 other things I need to get through. So I'm like, it's a struggle, and it's always been that way. It's like my least favorite, but it gives me a good pump, and then it's just really bad now during prep. Like you are fully depleted, and I feel like I'm just dragging my body through the day afterwards. And then I'm doing 120 minutes of cardio. So after my lift, I do an hour, and then in the afternoon, I do an hour. So Mondays are a struggle for sure. And then you got to work your day.
Uh-huh. And I have interviewed a few ladies who say they love leg day. I call them mutants. The masochists. They're freaks. Anybody who loves leg day. It made me think of an episode of my favorite show, Chappelle's Show, when Charlie Murphy, he meets Rick James, and they go back to his brother's Eddie's house. And you remember the part where Rick James, they spell Rick James like F your couch, Eddie Murphy, F your couch. And then here comes Charlie and Eddie beating his legs. Say, what are my legs, Eddie Murphy? What are my legs? He's crawling. You shouldn't have give y'all any money. That's the leg day for anybody to get through it. And that's part of it. You have to work on those strengths that much as your weaknesses. Like at the show, because I know, I think Tyler was there because I know I saw Tyler Manning there, and I think he was one of the head judges, I believe. What was the feedback? Yeah. What did they tell you that you need, especially as it shouldn't be too much feedback. It's not like it's bodybuilding going on.
Actually, yeah, they told me that I need to clean up my front pose. And to be honest, we switched my division 3 weeks before that show. So I only had 3 weeks to kind of go through my new posing routine. So I wasn't surprised by that. And then the other one is to come out fuller. So like fuller on the top and leaner on the bottom. And we knew that was going to be a problem because I'm holding all my weight in my lower body. And I think that's pretty normal for most women. That's where we hold most of our weight is lower body. So that was the feedback. I was asked if I was going to, are we going to see you at North Americans? The answer is no, I'm not going to North Americans for a lot of reasons. We're taking a trip, and it's not ideal to take a trip during prep, but my coach is making it work. So we're going to take a little trip real quick to Amsterdam and back, and then get back to work.
Oh, of course, Amsterdam, it's pretty cool. Be careful, it's legal to smoke weed over there. Hey, hashish, But yeah, and it's good. I've never been, I think, other than maybe Florida, my third time, been to Atlanta, been to Georgia, Virginia. I've never been, I was on a train to Tampa, train there, train back. I had to stop off because the train station was in my next. I'm right at the border of South Carolina. I just a hop, skip, and jump for South Carolina. That's where the train station was at. Took a train, stopped Savannah. Had to wait 5 or 6 hours for the next train. Then took that train an hour down there. Then when I was done, left that Friday afternoon. And on my way back, I had to take we had to wait another 5, 6 hours when I get to Savannah again, and I could get back home to North Carolina until like maybe that afternoon on Sunday. But yeah, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about maybe give myself a real ID. So if I do go to another show, I just hop on a plane. I don't know. I'm kind of like there was an old TV show called A-Team with Mr. T, and he BA, And every time when they want to get on a plane, because he hates planes, he has to put some of his food like that. You may have to do like, hey, food, you got to put this in my plane. I'm not getting no plane food. But, but I'm thinking, yeah, that'd be a better route. Because I'm hoping my friend, she's thinking about working with either a couple of shows. And if this show is like, this is my rule, this is my rule contingency, this is my contingency. If I go to show, you have to have women's bodybuilding in the lineup. That's why I support physique. Not a big. I wasn't too big a fan of it at first. I call it water that wins bodybuilding, but many of my competitors who I interview have been physique competitors, and some physique competitors and some amateurs here and there. And you're like the second fit model competitor. Excuse me. And just really just to support y'all ladies, because you know what, y'all make it the majority of the sport. Now with Fit Mom, now the majority has grown. I think the opportunities for y'all ladies need to be more recognized. I mean, I would say like this. My friend Eunice, she put up $1,000 for winning bodybuilding title. That was like, I think it was originally 3,000. She put an extra 1,000. That was 4,000. Plus a jacket. You ladies, it costs more, especially your prep. And I know some promoters will go with, as I call the men's division, like men's open, is if you know anything about the pimping game, it's the bottom bitch. It's the one that brings the money into promotions. But I often say, like, you ladies deserve the opportunities and also maybe recognition just as much as the men do.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's kind of like, without going into overly political conversation, it's kind of the same in any industry. Is I feel like a lot of women probably deserve a little bit more recognition for the work that they're doing. But we've always been underpaid. We've always been like below. So I'm not really surprised that it's like that in the industry. But I think that we do need to change for sure, 100%.
Yeah, but it takes time to change. People have to speak up. Some people don't want to speak up because they feel like they don't want to rock the boat. So this is a question I ask you, ladies, especially, after that long prep, you finally get to stage, you're tired, you're done. And this is particularly you. I know you're watching my videos and often ask you questions. What was that thing that you desired the most, Amy? That thing is, I would say, that make you stranger, but make you stronger.
Oh my gosh. So like after show, like post meal?
Yes. I'm a fat nigga.
Oh my gosh. I was so tired after this show. So let me back up. All prep, all I wanted was pizza and chicken wings. So my mind was like, I'm going to get pizza and chicken wings after prep. Or after the show. And then when time came to it, I don't know what it was. Someone maybe mentioned a cheeseburger, and I was like, you know what I want? I want Shake Shack. I want Shake Shack with like French fries and a double with that Shake Shack sauce. I was like, that's what I want. And that's what we got. It is so funny because like the next day, my physique looked even better than it did when I was on stage because I just ate all of the food. And then I did sneak in some Ben and Jerry's. It was there.
I tell you, sometimes, ladies, folks, that food be calling you, be calling your name, be like Pookie, New Jack City. It be calling me, man. It be calling my name, man. Be calling me, because that thing is, it's about, sometimes it's good to indulge every now and then. I've heard some wild stories sometimes. I have a couple of ladies say, one thing they love is sushi. Now, ma'am, I'm straight like this. I'm a poor country boy, grew up poor country boy. We ate fish, but we never ate it cold and raw. It was fried. That's how we ate it, or sometimes you might bake it. Yeah, but not raw and cold, wrapped up with cold rice. Nah, I don't do that. That's not me. When I got back from Tampa, I called my sister a few minutes earlier to say we were going to be coming in because we stopped out. The last stop was in Charleston, was in Florence. After another 30 minutes from Dillon. And we stopped out and say, I called myself, I'm coming in. I said, I told the guy in the car, I got to do two things. I got to pay a couple of bills. And then there's a Chinese restaurant. They have a Chinese buffet. I'm a Chinese loving whore. I just love that. I got a nice plate. I was barely closed it. I didn't eat it all and I did eat it, but like bits and pieces here and there. But yeah, that's the thing about foods, counting your micros, and you just can't eat anything. Like, you got a 6-year-old, and I know he is not going to eat dried chicken and broccoli. What did like when we had the
actually
table, what?
He loves mixed vegetables. He is like, he will ask for them. And I usually eat them almost like with all my meals because it's just easy to go to. But he's like a huge fan. Now the chicken piece, if it's a chicken nugget, he will devour it for sure. But he's a peanut butter and jelly type of kid. If he could eat peanut butter and jelly every single meal, he would. And like bread and butter, I don't know. That's his go-to.
That reminds me of my brother's oldest daughter. I remember my first trip went to Florida, and we stopped by this restaurant. She was eating butter. We called her Butter Girl. My niece Quanda. She was maybe about, I would say, 5 or 6 at that time. Children, like I said, I never had children of my own, but I grew up in a big family, nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, and children, they have their habits and their habits, and they like things they like. That's how they are, and it's good that he also maybe learned something from his mother about healthy eating, because sometimes that's the thing. Get them, like to quote from the movie The Green Mile, get them while they're young, so they can learn something. Here we got my man. He also does content about their man, KL the Wonder, coming through. He says, "Good afternoon." Good afternoon, you too, brother. I appreciate you coming through. Shout out to him. And he's also sometimes we have him on the guest. Also, we have here my man Josh Simpkins. And he says this. Josh says, "Happy Friday, George and Amy. Happy Friday to you too, brother. Can't believe it's Friday. Seems like
it feels like the longest week of my life."
Because you said like you're still doing the job with the forensics, or what you do now?
Yeah, no, I'm still, I own the company and I'm still running it. And it is if I could say it was a full-time job, I would be like grateful. But it is more than a full-time job. Sometimes it feels like 2 or 3 jobs, but we make it work.
Well, you got to remember, you're the boss of all bosses. Sometimes you have to, put a lot of work in and put a lot of time in. It's an investment to the future, not just for yourself, but also for your family. That's important, especially bodybuilding. I think it's the one thing that maybe helps you with some of those things of it, because somebody told me sometimes it really helps them with the stress. The gym is the place they go to. It's their therapy. It's their church. And sometimes, I know a lot of ladies get up early in the morning because they want to go ahead and get the day started, go to bed like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock so they, really get enough sleep. There's so much to this people don't understand, the sacrifice, the time you got to put into it. And, it's just, if you get into sport, you have to understand it's a sport of passion. You have to love what you're doing. Don't have a lot of large expectations of, hey, I do this, I'm gonna be a pro. No, I know ladies. There's one lady I follow. She competed bodybuilding for 20 years. Took a step back, led her life, then came back and became a pro just recently. I know some ladies who've been in the ditches for a long time before they finally got the opportunity. I also know a few people who have became pros really quick their first year. But the thing is, it's about how you work, how you process, and how you understand what you're doing.
Yeah. So between my husband and I, there's 3 kids. And so we balance and go at 2:30 in the morning. We go to the gym. And if you don't love the sport, you're not going at 2:30 in the morning. There's just no way. So we get up really early. We go together. We knock it out. The oldest is old enough to stay home with the youngest. So that's super helpful. And they all get it. Like, we all have a routine, a schedule, and bodybuilding has helped with the stress levels, but it also has helped me with tuning a lot of negative feedback out of my own brain, self-confidence. I'm very productive during the day, especially because I know I have meals coming up and they're all scheduled out. I know that I need to get all of this done, and so that I can eat on time and I can have this meeting and so on and so forth. So it's actually made me probably more efficient of a person as well, especially with like meal prep on top of it. Like, we just don't have time to waste, and everybody understands in the house and is supportive. So yeah, if you don't love it, you're definitely not making the trip at 2:30 in the morning to the gym.
It's good that you have the other kids in the house to help out, because most people don't have that. I've talked to ladies where they're doing it on their own. Other than maybe a few friends here and there, and dealing with them, they don't understand it. I talked to ladies where their parents, if the mom saying, "Sweetheart, I don't want you to get too manly, and you can't get a man," or the dad might say, "I already have a little girl. I don't want another little boy," and because and then the negative part about it, how this is like you're in a division where it's very feminine, but even if it's just a little bit of muscle, guys, or just not just guy, but just people in general, men and women, will make comments like, "Why is she trying to get all this muscle? She's trying to be a man." Folks, this is a pretty
Yeah.
little lady. She's not manly. Wait, she's not like she got a square jaw or whatever like that. But because you're doing something that maybe is not what they consider the norm and out of the comfort zone, it's easy to pick on. But there's that flip side to it. There are the guys who are particularly they're fond of muscle women. They find them exotic. So, we in our communities called smokes. I know I'm one of them. But the fact is, doing this content, I learned how to pull it back a little bit. I learned to have to be aware of what it is to be an athlete. Here again, we got my man KL the Wanderer. Shout out to him. He says, how is Fit Model treating you, Amy? Would you want to move on to another division? Well, she says she's still in the early phase of it, but if you want to answer him, man, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just switched on my show 3 weeks prior from bikini to Fit Model. So yes, we are the plan is to continue on with Fit Model right now for this season and then take a little time off, grow some more, build some more, get that muscle maturity, and then move on up to bikini. So the criteria has changed so much for bikini since they first introduced it in 2009. And so the criteria almost was identical to Fit Model. And now it's not. Right now you're looking for tie-ins. You're looking for more muscle definition, defined lines, the tie-ins, stuff like that. So we're going to need some muscle maturity to get there.
That's the thing. I think the idea of bikini, because you know what, you remember you're in Florida, they had the little bikini contests, and those were very popular. You show them on TV sometimes, and Hooters, stuff like that. But then because bodybuilding is such an influential and very, I would say influential, and also it can be very, what's the word I want to say? It can just really get people into another level. Because if you look at it now, I remember if I go back to when I got to bodybuilding, I got into the age of people like Corey Everson and Richard McGlesh and Carla Dunlap, and Beth Francis kind of changed it when she competed years ago, and then Linda Murray, who I've seen before. I met Lita Popa, that's a legend, and quite a few other ladies, and it has evolved from that in the spectrum to Andrea Shaw. Look at the other divisions, how they evolved. You look at right now, Mr. Trescott, who was the fitness champion, now going on to be maybe possibly the future figure Olympian champion. And again, it's the evolution of any athlete of any sport. It's just his thing is you can't pigeonhole for a while, because I know you talk about how women are getting bigger and larger, but then again, it's the judging criteria. If they're telling you want to be full, or you're telling you want to be this and that, they're going to follow your guidelines. But then you're the ones who need to kind of shut it down if you should. No fish in your division. There's no point to it, because after a while, y'all gonna look more like. I would say in another 3 years, it's just gonna melt into. They say don't do crossovers, but it'd be so easy for a fit model competitor to cross over into bikini after a while. Especially if you compete with someone like Jordan Lee, or you mentioned again, Laura Lee, and also I don't know all the lady the first black woman just won the Arnold Classic. Those levels of women of muscle. Some of them even I would say just about bigger than the women in the 80s when it comes to women's bodybuilding. Here, shout out to my man KL. He's always asking questions. He says this. He says, "Fit Model and bikini is sexy division. It's all right." And also,
that's why they always keep bikini at the end of the show. They know everyone's going to stay.
Yeah, I usually after I meet, I'm up and out. I'm just coming here. I'm seeing the muscle women. I don't. You little tweaks. See, one of my jobs. I had quite a few jobs as a young man. I used to work at a gas station. I worked in textiles. I worked at a meat process factory. I worked at a strip club. It's a different level when it comes to the bikini. It's more about. It's a hood. It's called a booty club. But you know what? As a fan of this sport and of these women, it's about the evolution of any athlete as they grow. Here we got here. He says this. He says, have got harsh criticism while being a fit model. Like I said, I think it's more within the sport the criticism than it is outside the sport. You think?
Yeah, outside the sport, I don't think the general public has a clue of what's going on because they're not tracking it as closely. In the sport, I've heard people say that this is a watered down division. It's, going to destroy the franchise, which just seems kind of ludicrous to say because I've heard actually recently I heard someone, not your interview, but another interview of another athlete just call somebody out and say, I think you just have really good genetics and you're skinny. So that's probably why you placed really well. And I'm like, before I started lifting, if I showed up on stage, I would have not placed. I was skinny. I had a flat stomach. I've always had abs, but there's no way I would look like that. So it does take a lot of work still. And I think there's like a general misconception that fit model is easy. The posing sucks. The posing is really hard. I'm not going to lie. Maybe because I'm not comfortable with it yet, but I think that it's extremely hard to like get into that position and also to get into that front pose elegantly. I feel like bikini, it just has more of a natural flow, but that's just my personal opinion. So.
Well, like I said, it's everybody's evolution. I remember I was on live stream. One lady, she's an IFB pro. Shout out to her. She said it's the basic bitch division, and I think one concern, especially for the other divisions like bikini, not so much bikini, but women's bodybuilding, which is already on the ropes, and it's surviving thanks to a guy who I'm a fan of, Mr. Jake Wood. Yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. I can't help it every time I say his name, And I think my feelings, I feel like it might push it out eventually, because once you hit to Olympia, and you have these big numbers, they have to cut some things. I know a couple of days ago, one show they had to cut, because they had a fit model part of the regional show, and they had to cut a little bit out from their posing routines. And it used to be posing routines back then were maybe a good 2 minutes. Now it's cut down to about maybe half a minute. It's just
half a minute is generous.
Yeah,
I think we had like 10 seconds on stage.
Yeah,
it was quick.
We usually just move around, stick it out there, stick your button. That's about it. But with these other divisions, we really have to move. Here, shout out to my man KL. He's asked me a question. He says, "Did you spit on the side, George, in the beginning?" Yes, I did, because she understands. We had a conversation about this, KL. I don't have a problem when I say fit model. Excuse me. And she understand that. He give me a pain in the ass. Also, this is from my man. DJ says KL all divisions is sexy, bro. Also, shout out to we have Dorian Hamers. He says, good luck on your journey. Keep it cool. That you and your husband working out together. That's great. Also, we have here. This is from my man K. Ellie says, a lot of people don't like fit model DJ, but thanks. And also we have here my man DJ saying this. These guys that come in here, they like to start. He says, yeah, KL, and that's okay. Fit model is not everyone's cup of tea. I said something myself. Like I reach out for interviews. Sometimes that lady, she's turned me down because I like this. I may not be everybody's cup of tea. I'm too hot for some, but I'm just right for others. That's how I feel about myself.
I always thought when people are like, I have a friend of mine who she actually is like, you're not anyone's cup of tea because you're a glass of champagne, and people need to understand that. I was like, oh, it's very sassy, but I'm like, I like it.
Whoa, that's whoa. Can I borrow that? Hey,
absolutely.
That's too feminine for me. I'm not saying I'm not champagne. I grew up. We.
You'll have to change it out for something else.
Yeah, I used to work at a gas station. We used to have Red Bull and stuff like that, and like one of the worst beers around is King Cobra. I remember I busted a couple of bottles one time. That's a nasty smell. It's used for paint, to clean out paints the brushes. But the hard drinkers, they love it. I might say myself, I'm not everybody's, chocolate, but I'm sweet if you want to go, whatever it is. Also, this is from my man. He says, "You embarrassing, George." Yeah, who cares? This. Like I tell this brother, I built this shit. Me, brick by brick. I don't need another man tell me what I need to do. It says, and he did also said like he says, I'm more of George L. Ginger Ale. He's more ginger ale. So thank you. So we're not going to hold her much too longer because she's a busy lady. Took time out to talk to me. Um, like I said again, I'm always willing and open to bring people on and share their stories. I know a lot of the guys who follow my content, they're more of they like women's bodybuilding, like physique. They're starting to grow on figure a bit, not too much on bikini, kind of like wellness a little bit because some of those ladies have great development when you look at them. I would say they're kind of a mix of a bit of bikini, a little bit of bodybuilding. When you look at them, especially because they have those strong, lower hips. I would say strong. That's what the Brazilians were because they have a strong Afro genetics compared to other people. And it's a particularly, it's the evolution of any athlete. As I said again, how they grow, how they find a process, and you're still somebody who's still growing in your path.
Absolutely, yeah. I have so much to grow, like so much to learn about the sport, so much actual muscle development that needs to happen, but constantly growing. I'm also learning a lot about different nutrition things that I'm doing now that are working better for me than what they were prior. So constantly evolving, constantly learning, constantly growing. So it's good.
Yeah, I see. That's good that you understand. It's good you have people like your husband supporting you, your kids supporting your family and friends supporting you. Most people don't have that. Some people have to deal with people's prejudices. Sometimes friends are lost because you're doing something different. You can't go out and do like you usually do, like hang out or go to a restaurant because you're on a diet and you're prepping. You can't eat this, you can't eat that.
Yeah.
You have to make a lot of sacrifice just because the sport, kind of requires it. But here's the thing: is you do this because you love it. You love the process. You love to grow and developing as an athlete. Not everybody can do what y'all do, and that's one thing I think people have to concern about because it's not as simple as they think it is. It's again they always associate the idea of use of performance enhancers, but that's not all to be all part about it. It's about just being consistent, being disciplined, and being focused. Here we got a comment here. Shout out to my man DJ says, we are comparing ourselves to beverages. This is an interesting conversation. Yeah, brother, why not? Also, he says this shot from man DJ says, where did the conversation go from talking about fit model, about to be to beverages? Hey, but that's how sometimes it happens. That's conversations. You can switch up from one day to another. Also, this is from Darian Hammond says, I like fit model. I wish they kept it on NPC. And when a pro card, you're in the bikini division. This would keep the division within the criteria instead of pushing out the others. Yeah, that's the thing is, I think there could be just maybe once you hit pro card, now you're getting up to because you got to start all over again as an amateur in your IFBB. And that's the thing, it should be just an interest division, then maybe just a totally new division. But like I said again, we're not the powers that be. That's what they want to do. But that's how this is about. I would say again about the money, the process. So like I said again, this is one thing, folks. If you want to follow Amy, the links in the description in this live stream. If you want to support her path as a athlete, reach out with genuine interest. But guys, I don't want you to be this guy saying, "Hey, Amy, you're a cute little puffy little thing. So if I do your favor, what do you think you do for me?" No, stop that, you sick freak. What's wrong with you? This woman's here. I mean, come on, guys. This is what you said, Miss Quezada. If I want to get you, I want to don't hate to mispronounce your name, Adam. If I do, we particularly interested, especially your business acumen and how you do your business. If you're ever interested in maybe partnering up with us and maybe helping your process of bodybuilding and also helping us as a company and a brand, we'd like to make you one of our ambassadors. So, madam, if you feel free and it's something that might interest you, something you feel comfortable with, and something that helps your process as a bodybuilder, we'd like you to be part of our company and also maybe have an exchange of interest and knowledge and whatever else that needs to help you. We want you to help you and you to help us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. So we'll work on that. But folks, again, this is a nice lady, took time to talk up with me. Guys, respect her. This I know a lot of you guys, you follow particularly, you like when I bring in like the big muscle chicks. You love the big buff girls. Oh yeah, like, but she's a lovely lady. I got to meet her and talk to her. I mean, it was a great opportunity. I was glad to go to Tampa because I wouldn't have got to do this. Really, for me, my channel is still, I've been doing this for quite some while. Now, like I said again, I do this because I do this to give me a purpose and also to help those people out to know and understand what it is that's involved in bodybuilding. Here, we got a comment from my man. Shout out to my man. DJ says, Dorian Hammer. All divisions should be allowed to stay in the IFBB as long as possible. That's the debate. And also he says, this says, Hammer, my thing is just don't push out women's bodybuilding or women's physique out. That's my concern too, because I know this is what I said a while back. Anytime I hear when one point they was going to drop women's bodybuilding from the Tampa Pro, but then Jake came along, he saved it. Yo, Jake. But then I realized something at the show, the Atlanta show, where there were only 3 women competing. Actually, 4 together. One was just doing masters. The lady I interviewed, Michelle Brett. And I'm like this. I'm not going to get outraged when the promoters drop women's bodybuilding from the show, because the thing is, if you complain about there's not enough shows and you don't show up, that's on you. Understand, when you get involved in this sport, there is things you need to do. And if you want the sport to grow, you have to say something. You can't be sitting in the mouth and say, hey, give us this, give it that. But you're not going to work for it and want it and show up. Where other divisions can, then don't expect anything. Even though you're the architect, you started all the others. But just realize something. If you're not able to work for it, if you don't want it more for yourself than to others, then you don't deserve anything. So that's why I'm saying from now on, I'm not going to be outraged when I hear a promoter drop women's bodybuilding for the show. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to holler. I'm not going to put posts. I'm just saying, you know what? You asked for it. You are the assailant of your own division. You're not the victim. You're the assailant. So, ma'am, your vision is going to grow strong and get popular. But again, it's going to evolve and it's eventually going to blend in. So after I say, let's go with fit model. What's the point of it anymore?
Yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. I don't know if they'll keep it around for a long term or if it's something that's just going to be a couple of years. So there's been a lot of debate in the industry about, is it going to be a 2-3 year thing, or is it going to be a long-term thing like bikini evolved into?
Well, if it does, you might always call it, the lightweight bikini division. Kind of like, if you look at it, because that's why I feel like women's physique now is like the lightweight women's bodybuilding division. Eventually they might say, you know what, let's just try to, if we can keep them together, we just meld them as one. But that's the thing, is up to the people like the Manions and also the other higher ups that move these shows. It's up to them. But again, it's about the processes of athletes, how they grow, how they develop, and what they want the most for themselves. If they want more for themselves, don't expect people to give you a handout.
Right.
So, yes. So, folks, we enjoyed the opportunity to talk with Amy again. We wish her all the best of luck. If she's ever interested, we'd like to have her back. Maybe when she comes, I'm a IFBB Pro. Whenever you want, just let me know. And I will have open door. Even though I'm like, there's old movie Clint Eastwood called The Outlaw Josie Whale, and I live for the grudge. So that's how it is. But I'm happy to have any guests out here to share their path in the interest sport of bodybuilding.
Well, I'll have to tune in when I get that pro card.
All righty then. Even though she does fit model, excuse me again, I have to clean out my palate. I do a little nice thing now because I like you. So anyway, folks, I appreciate Amy for taking the time out here and talk with me. I appreciate y'all folks who are here. And, shout out my man, KF the Wanderer, Ryan Lake, my man, DJ, Josh Simpkins, Dorian Hamer, all you who watch this live. Support all these athletes. I know, again, fit model is not your cup of tea, but as you said,
I'm a cup of champagne.
Yeah, it was the other thing, but the champagne, but never mind. But folks, thank you for your time. Let's wish the best of luck to Amy and all the luck to her, and in her future as a bodybuilder. Also, give the hug and kisses to the babies and the family.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
To quote my favorite movie, Batman Begins. I know, Kale, you hate it when I quote that because I love it. It's my favorite movie. When Jim Gordon said to Batman, I never get a chance to thank you. He turned around and said, you never have to. why I do this. This is my purpose. I'm Batman. I'm Bruce Wayne without the Batman and the billionaires. I'm just this guy. I got my Star Wars shirt on. I should wear my Batman shirt on, but that's cool. But folks, we wish her best of luck in the upcoming show. Hope maybe in the future we do get to see her in the IB, something with the big dogs. I mean, maybe as you know, there might be talk about that. It might have the fit model on a class, but you got to get invited. So I think that first year they probably just get wherever they feel like they get feeling, or maybe the next year, whatever. Arnold we'll know about it. What Arnold says, I think. I used to be a fan of Arnold, but his politics when it comes to women bodybuilding and other divisions, I'm not a fan of Arnold. And the what's the dollar tumor? I don't just want to you. I just want to get you on you. You're a pretty girl. But King B's 79 years old. Shit, he's old. No, that's Stallone. He's 78. But anyway, so folks, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Wish you a rest of the weekend, and thank you again. It's your man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I am out. Good afternoon, good night, and enjoy the rest of your week. End.